everybody, SONGOSHUAKU'S here! And welcome to this review for WWE Super Showdown 2018. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button followed by hitting the notification bell so that way you are notified as soon as my content is released. Alright, so for the first time since WWE's Global Warning 2002 pay-per-view in Australia, WWE was back in the land from down under, Melbourne, Australia, at this huge stadium, and it looked quite packed. They had like over 70,000 something fans, man. It looked pretty packed. I don't know if it was sold out, but it looked pretty packed nonetheless. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys my solo thoughts here. No discussions this time as in previous reviews that I've done for WWE this year. So expect a much quicker review, I should say that, since there's not a lot to discuss from 3 different people. However, with that said in mind, guys, hope you enjoyed this audio review as you go about your everyday life, whether you're working out, doing your commute, gym, doing your commute to work, or working out the gym, however you listen. But with that said in mind, let's go ahead and get right into the first opening match, which was The New Day, represented by Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against Cesaro and Sheamus, The Bar. I also forgot to mention, too, at the beginning intro here, that the show was viewed quite, if you were obviously in the U.S., you had to wake up pretty early in the morning. That's why I saw memes that were saying, you know, other people in other countries who have to stay up really late or get up super early to watch these shows now, you know, us Americans know how it feels. So yeah, you know, I was watching this 5 a.m. Central Time is when this began, and I watched the whole 4-hour show. But as far as the match goes, pretty standard match. It was a decent match, you know. If you guys were following me along my Twitter, where I was live tweeting about the show, I thought it was a decent match. Not up to par with some of the matches I've seen them have before previously, but still pretty good performance nonetheless. Good match. You know, you got Cesaro doing all his cool, you know, Superman stuff with the swing, even breaking out the sharpshooter. Sheamus, you know, being a powerhouse and just really cool kicks and stuff like that. And you even had what is it, Xavier Woods and Kofi doing some pretty cool high-flying action. Like I said, fairly standard stuff, decent. And in the end, Cesaro tried to roll Kofi Kingston up, put his feet on the ropes, but didn't work out. He got troubled, and no, I think it was Sheamus that got troubled in Paradise outside the ring, and then with Cesaro, he ended up falling victim to a backstabber from Xavier Woods, followed up by, while Xavier Woods is holding him down, Kofi Kingston goes in and does a stomp, you know, very similar to the coup de grace that Finn Balor does. Speaking of which, guys, was Finn Balor even on this show? I don't think he was. Wow. Yikes, man, you know, how does a talent like Finn Balor not be on such a big show, you know? It really shows you. Same way with, like, Bayley and everything. Oh, boy, but, you know, we'll have more to talk about that. There's quite a few big stars. Nakamura, your current United States Championship, didn't find his way on this show. But that being said, yeah, that's the combination move that got the pinfall, and the New Day retains the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Yeah, or titles, I should say. So yeah, this goes on. I actually kind of thought there was a real possibility that the Bar might end up winning this match, because I thought they were going to have them come back for a rematch where the New Day wins, because there's of course been the rumors going around that WWE wants to make the New Day the greatest tag team championships by having them lose several tag team championship matches just so they can call themselves the greatest, because that means they win. Yeah, you know, I always thought it's more impressive to have one long, lengthy title reign as opposed to constantly saying you lost it several times. But hey, it's the way the WWE does things, right? But like I said, fun, decent match. All right, moving on to the next match. And that is the SmackDown Women's Championship match, as the champion in Queen, who now, right, Becky Lynch taking on Charlotte Flair. Obviously, this has been one of the best things on SmackDown, and I have loved how WWE has booked Becky Lynch to look so strong, while unfortunately at the same time not being so much of a fan of how they're so subtly trying, and I guess now not so subtly trying to make Becky Lynch be the heel, and it's just not gonna work because the fans are going to cheer for Becky Lynch, and they're gonna boo Charlotte. So rather than go with the flow, they're going to go ahead and go against the grain. But as I've stated before in these reviews, when you're getting all that money from Saudi Arabia, the USA Network, and especially the Fox deal, you can do these things and it won't harm WWE from making their money. But it doesn't mean that I can't get quality entertainment out of this, you know, like they did the photo shoot, which as you guys have probably noticed when you clicked on this video, that's right, I decided to use Becky Lynch's photo that she revealed on SmackDown last week as the thumbnail for this video. I love this thing, man, because not just because yes, it's hilarious in content, but also, you guys know I'm an artist and filmmaker, so I'm going to speak from a artistic perspective here. It just looks much better than that whole collage they had for the original poster. I mean, yeah, this is so much better. I love the great all the great visual effects done there. It's really awesome. So I'm like, yes, I'm using this as my thumbnail for the video. You know, and guys, you guys remember back in 2002, I even said when the Undertaker attacked David Flair. You know, when he came in, he's like, "Hey, David Flair, yeah, David Flair." Boom! You know, he knocked him out, and then you know he threatened to tell everybody else, you know, they're gonna regret it, and beat him up in the bathroom. And I think that gets to the point where David Flair's like, "What are you doing?" And Undertaker's like, "What am I doing? I'm kicking your ass. What does it look like I'm doing?" Oh man, that was hilarious. You gotta love 2002 Undertaker, especially like how he drove around Hulk Hogan on his on the motorcycle and hog-tied him. But enough of getting back to 2002. My point in all this is that 16 years later, Becky Lynch comes back and pretty much just attacks Charlotte Flair out of nowhere and lays her out, puts her foot on top of her and says, "Hey, get to the champ. You know, let the champ, you know, take a photo of the champ, will you?" Or something like whatever she said. So unfortunately, Charlotte Flair falling victim to the same hijacking as her brother 16 years ago, getting her photo shoot hijacked by Becky Lynch. And you know, I just loved it, like when she's like, you know, "Call me queen," or she said no, and you know, Charlotte just walks away and she, you know, yells the female dog at her, you know, with the B. It's just, man, good stuff in the build up. So you probably noticed now I've been talking about the build up and reminiscing old times into this kind of bit. The match itself, you know, it went back and forth and was pretty quick action. I really did enjoy the match. But the finish happened, where Becky basically gets frustrated, grabs the title. She ends up getting put nearly in the figure 8. I forgot whether there was the figure 4. She did manage to get the figure 8. Yeah, she got the figure 8 in while Charlotte was bridging. Becky Lynch takes the championship and whacks Charlotte right in, I think, the leg or the arm or something like that. Yeah, it had to be the leg. And it's called for disqualification. And I'm like, what? And then afterwards, when Becky's leaving, Charlotte attacks her from behind, but still Becky gets the best of her anyway, and clothesline Charlotte and does the Bexploder onto the mat below and walks away with the championship. And the crowd in Melbourne, Australia were really hot for Becky. They were popping loud and booing Charlotte. I mean, they had like Roman Reigns level of heat booing down. So clearly you can see whether no matter what part of the world they are in, everyone loves Becky Lynch. So, you know, it is what it is. Becky Lynch has worked so hard, and the fans respect the amount of effort she's put in to get back to this spot, and fans just aren't going to boo her no matter how much you try to portray her as a heel. You know, and Charlotte Flair, they're going to boo Charlotte, and I think, like I said, I feel like Charlotte Flair should go heel, you know, especially if you're going to prepare her for that battle against Ronda Rousey. But yeah, I didn't want to focus too much on the match itself, because right after, WWE announces that Tuesday night on SmackDown Live, you can see Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair in a rematch. So it's kind of like, Honestly, if I wasn't doing this review before SmackDown, I'd probably tell you just like in our SummerSlam review, watch the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers SmackDown match and skip over their SummerSlam match, because I'm pretty sure this will also be a much better match. I wish they would have saved it for WWE Evolution. But yeah, you know, at the end of the day, WWE is going to do what they want with Becky Lynch. As long as Becky Lynch gets a lengthy, dominating title reign, then I am fine here, because Becky Lynch has deserved to have this long reign for so long. And yeah, that's my thoughts. So moving on to the next match. Bobby Lashley and John Cena versus Kevin Owens and Elias. Yeah, another match where the build-up was pretty good, you know, with Leo Rush, who I think has been doing a tremendous job as the manager. They call him the hype man, but he's the manager of Bobby Lashley. And man, that scorching heat that Elias and KO was able to get on Monday Night Raw in Seattle. Whew, my gosh, are you guys hot in there? Like, my... Oof, that was some scorching heat, all right, for sure. But so, yeah, this should have obviously been a big deal, because you've got John Cena, whether you love the guy or you hate the guy, as a wrestler, of course, you know, John Cena, the superstar, not the person. It's one of those things where it should have been a big deal, right? And this is Bobby Lashley and John Cena, I think, for the first time teaming up. You know, I remember them having that feud back in 2007, or that one match back in 2007. So yeah, Cena came out with new merch, and he basically has more hair than he's had before. People were making the comparison, saying he basically has JBL's hairstyle now. He's a lot more cut, ripped, so looking in tremendous shape. You know, John Cena keeping in shape, that's great, and everything. And for the guys who probably don't know, well, you know, I'm not the biggest John Cena fan, but you know, when the man puts on a good performance, you know, I give him props. And, you know, of course, there's sometimes that John Cena goes out there and it's like, you know, he can do better than that. And I guess you could say this is one of them, right? This is one of those matches. This match was, yeah, it was a match. Probably like a what do you call it? It was a house show match, pretty much. I remember Bobby Lashley just taking a lot of offense in this match. Yeah, he's taking a beating in this match from KO and Elias. And Bobby Lashley eventually gets the tag for Cena, and I think he actually did like 3 moves, just 3 moves. And I think it was on Elias he finished Elias with. But the ending is what they called, because WWE is now self-aware, the 6 move of doom. You know, I really wanted to see he starts powering up, almost like he's about to go Super Saiyan for you guys that follow the Funimation dub in the Dragon Ball series, or if you like the Japanese version, Super Saiyajin. But yeah, he goes ahead and powers up, and he's like, and then he goes for a punch right to the face. Boom! And 1, 2, 3, it's over. Wow. I'm like, they brought John Cena to Melbourne, Australia, all the way down under for this? Okay. I know he's been in, China, I think, training, I hear, with Jackie Chan, or just preparing for a movie down there. But, wow. I mean, okay, and that's pretty much all that can be said about this. Cena also got on the microphone and thanked all the audience, because, you know, we don't know how much often or even how much more we'll even be seeing of John Cena. You know, like Kevin Owens said, he's really living up to the name, or his catchphrase, "You can't see me." Yeah, that's pretty much all you need. We're going to move on to the next match. Asuka and Naomi versus Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, the Iconics, who are from Australia. So, what I found interesting about this was that the Iconics, it felt like, what do they call it? A golf clap? You sort of like, yeah, they're from Australia, and we're going to kind of give them a cheer, but we're not going to go crazy. Wow, I really was expecting them to get this big, huge hero's welcome, and it wasn't loud. It was like, you know, the fans, you know, I wouldn't say they didn't boo the women, but they didn't go crazy for them either. and they're representing Australia. And they were even cutting a babyface promo. So I don't know if that's just maybe showing how much WWE, the way they've booked these women, because, they kept having these women lose a lot. The Iconics really lost a lot, which is why I thought they desperately needed a win to get some sort of momentum going, in the storylines currently. And when we get to the Cruiserweight title match, you'll understand the type of reaction I thought these two were going to get. And you had Naomi and Asuka come out in their entrance, and Asuka had neon green hair dye, so it was glowing in the dark. And you got Asuka and Naomi dance their way to the ring. If you were to ask me what has been one of the most depressing things about WWE this year, it's look at where Asuka was at the beginning of this year prior to the WrestleMania 34 match with Charlotte, and look at her now. If there are fans out there complaining about Asuka or complaining about the idea of Asuka losing at WrestleMania against Charlotte, this is what they feared. This is what they thought, and it's true. This is the reason why. It's a shame. Nothing else other than I can say a shame. It's sad. It's tragic what they have done to the Asuka character. Asuka should be kicking butt. We should be talking about a potential Asuka versus Ronda Rousey match where Asuka is still undefeated and Ronda's kicking butt on Raw. What's going to happen when these two titans of the women's division happen? But we're not. We're talking about Asuka dancing with Naomi. And guys, I'm a big fan of Naomi. And dancing's her gimmick and everything, and that's what she does. But that's Naomi's gimmick. That like I said, that's what Naomi does. Asuka, before this, was a killing machine in the women's division, and this is what they've resorted to her. It's just sad. It really is. The match itself was not a lot really went into it. It's pretty much, your standard match. The big thing is the Iconics got the victory, a much needed victory, and Asuka did not take the fall. Naomi took the fall, and everything. So I felt it's good that Asuka at least didn't take the L pinfall loss here. And yeah, I just don't know where they're gonna go with Asuka. The sad truth is we might never get that killing machine Asuka back that we knew in NXT, and even more disappointing for fans who watched her in Japan as Kana. That it's even come to this, and even with Naomi, she was in the women's champion. She was the women's champion last year, and. Was it last year or 2016? Yeah, it was last year, 2017. She was a women's champion last year. And I feel like the way they've utilized Naomi is just something to sort of keep her afloat. This is basically the type of thing that WWE does when they don't know what to do with superstars, but they at least want to feature them still on TV. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on this. Yeah. No, next match. The WWE Championship match as AJ Styles defends the championship against Samoa Joe. So, this was the blow-off match, and I did like the previous two matches they've had in WWE. Once again, I'm pretty sure these did not, in any way, live up to their matches they've had in TNA, but however, I thought they have been better than the Nakamura and AJ Styles matches. And the storylines, the thing with the storyline is it wasn't necessary, but I thought Joe did a tremendous job in terms of the build-up, and they unfortunately, I felt, put AJ in some points that he was, like, oh my god, a lot of people were complaining about the acting on AJ's part when Joe goes to his house and everything, and as someone who does acting, I can tell you, obviously AJ Styles probably didn't feel this, right? As a wrestler, you gotta feel those promos from the heart, and you're putting these guys an element where it doesn't need to be. AJ Styles is really just as simple. Samoa Joe wants the title. AJ wants to keep the title. And I thought they were going to kind of get away from all this talk about the family. I like that when Joe, after he had AJ Styles beat, and I think I mentioned that in my review that I liked in my Hell in a Cell review, that I liked that Joe wasn't doing any more stuff to fool around with AJ's family. Now it's like, okay, I want my title. It's personal. I beat you, but they went back to that. So, yeah. But what I liked about this match is definitely the strongest of their 3 matches. And this is probably my favorite match on the show, at least from a storytelling standpoint. So, you know, Samoa Joe comes out with that bad BMF walk, ready to fight. AJ Styles comes out, doesn't do his trademark entrance, takes off his sleeveless hoodie, and just stares a hole right down Samoa Joe. They're both staring back and forth as AJ walks closer, and he just runs up to him, and both of them start going at it. It's a hot start to a hot finish, and it should be. This is turned into a blood feud, you know, and this is much better than the way he started off in SummerSlam doing the collar elbow tie up and everything. So yeah, the match overall was, I thought, really good. A lot of good back and forth action. A lot of cool stuff. The only thing that the match lacked, some crowd heat at points, and I felt the match should have had an extra set of intensity. There should have been some extra set of intensity going on in this match. You know, about they could have turned it. I wish they would have turned it up a little bit more of a notch to add that intense. You know, you go back to some of the Attitude Era, some of those brawls. You know, like look at Steve Austin and Rikishi from No Mercy, a good example. Steve Austin wrestled that. He fought in that match. His performance in that match, he made it look believable that he really wanted to destroy this guy that ran him over. Like, he looked like he wanted to kill him. He really did. And that's the type of mean street, you know. And of course I don't expect the match to be that brutal, because Rikishi, like Jim Ross said, was bleeding like a stuffed pig or something he was saying, Jim Ross would say. So I know they can't, you know, there's only so far they can go. But yeah, I just wish it would have that little intensity. But by no means was this a bad match. I loved it, back and forth, a lot of great action. They kept hitting each other hard, with Samoa Joe flying out with the elbow, AJ Styles doing the phenomenal elbow back. There's a point where he sets up a chair and he runs onto the chair, and Joe hits the Uranagi right on the edge of the chair, and I think his lower back hits like the very tip edge of the chair. Oh, you know that's gotta hurt, right? There's a lot of great stuff. You know, Joe getting hit with the chair and the ribs and the back by Joe and Samoa. I'm botching. AJ Styles hitting Samoa Joe. There's even a cool part where AJ is thrown by Samoa Joe onto the announce table, but AJ manages to catch himself on his feet and then jumps off the table to run right back in the ring. And so when Joe turns around, boom, he meets Joe with a kick right to the stomach. So it was really cool. These guys are going real hard in this match. There's the story, though. The match really changed during a table spot where Joe was going to try and do a superplex on AJ Styles, but AJ Styles ends up getting from underneath him and gets Joe on his shoulders and falls sort of sideways and lands real heavy on his leg. And then this is where Joe is like, I think I pulled my leg. And I thought AJ Styles trash talking in this match was really, no pun intended, phenomenal. This one, it did felt a lot better. Like, he really wanted to hurt Samoa Joe, which is good, as he should sound, right, in the match. I forgot, what was he saying? He was yelling something. I think he dropped an F-bomb at one point when Joe was in the corner. He was saying, oh yeah, stuff about like the wheel. He said, he's like, how you gonna fight, huh? How you gonna fight without no wheels, huh? Stuff like that, as he's working on the leg, and Joe did a tremendous job for the rest of the match, selling the leg injury and just mostly trying to rely on the Coquina clutch, because that's his biggest defense. He don't have to do a lot of moving around. If he can just catch AJ Styles' neck, take him down. That was the story going on for quite some time there. And he even goes for the muscle buster. His leg gives out, and then towards the end, AJ manages to get the calf crusher on Joe, and Joe's trying to get to the ropes. He's trying desperately, but then he taps out, and AJ Styles retains the title. Like I said, guys, this is a tremendous match. I loved it. Absolutely excellent. It's a shame that it was very early on the card. Like, I think this is was like at the end of the first hour or so. So it shows you WWE how much they view the WWE Championship on the totem pole. Once again, as I always have to go to, when you're getting all this guaranteed money, WWE doesn't feel like, well, it doesn't make any sense because Fox isn't gonna, Fox, Saudi Arabia, and USA Network aren't gonna cut their deals or whatever over the WWE Championship being so low on the card. They don't see a reason to prioritize it. So he's been getting like the CM Punk treatment where he's being mid-carded. But to us fans, especially who grew up as WWE fans, we were always told, how many times could you remember Jim Ross saying this? It don't get no bigger than this. It's for the richest prize of the business, the WWE Championship. Terrible Jim Ross impression, of course. But my point is, it was instilled to us that the WWE Championship is the most prestigious title in the business, and they're not really treating it, and I just feel like at this rate, AJ Styles is going to end up going on to become, he'll probably end up outdoing CM Punk's title reign, lasting more than CM Punk. So WWE can go ahead and say AJ Styles is the longest reigning WWE champion of the modern era. And then at that point, AJ finally main events, or they put the title on somebody and that person starts main eventing shows. So it's like, yeah, and I don't know where Samoa Joe's going to go after this. At this point, I think we might never see Samoa Joe become the WWE or Universal Championship. And, this is another big match that he's lost. And that's exactly what it does. When we were watching the UFC 229 show, me and the man Triple 1, we were with one of our high school friends, and he was saying he feels like Samoa Joe's becoming like Bray Wyatt now. How they would have Bray Wyatt talk a big game, but when it came to those big matches, he kept losing and losing, and that's what's happened with Joe. He couldn't beat Brock Lesnar. He couldn't beat Roman Reigns in the final match. He couldn't beat AJ Styles in the final match. So it's like Joe has everything to be a credible main eventer. You just gotta let him win and get the big one, but they're not. And I think that's the thing, is until CM Punk's title reign is surpassed, nobody's getting this championship, and it's gonna stay around on the AJ Styles shoulder. That's what I see it. Honestly, the way I see it. Excellent match, though. I just wish they would have had Samoa Joe, if he's going to lose, have him lose via pinfall and not tap out. Because when you tap out, what excuse can he make? There is no excuse. AJ Styles got the better of him. They might say that, hey, the knee got injured, so there's no way to get the knee. So, he can use that as an excuse. But the thing is, his knee was injured. It was a no DQ match, and AJ Styles was the better man, turning on the side and injuring his knee. He was the smart one. He worked on the knee part and found a way to get the better of Samoa Joe. So, yeah, that is what it is. But definitely go check this match out. I think it's one of the best matches on the actual show. If you're only going to watch a few matches, it's definitely one of them that you should watch. And moving on to the next match. WWE Raw Women's Champion Rowdy Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins versus the Riot Squad. This match actually I thought was pretty fun. It was a pretty nice little fun match to watch, better than I thought it would be. It's nothing I would say probably too spectacular, but it had its fun moments. So it was interesting because this is in Australia, I believe. That's where, and they mentioned this on commentary too, I think. I think Michael Cole, he did mention it on commentary that this was where Holly Holm defeated Ronda Rousey to win the UFC Bantamweight Women's Championship back in 2015. So I think this is Ronda's first televised appearance in Australia since that moment. So it was interesting, and they were talking about how this would be like a redemption for Ronda Rousey, and I think it's good for her to be able to, get some nice memories, right, going back into Australia there. So the way this match was working, which was very interesting, is that Brie and Nikki both kept tagging each other and skipping past Ronda. So it's like, okay, they're obviously planting the seeds for the rumored Nikki and Ronda match. And they even played off of Liv Morgan and Brie Bella going at it for the botch kicks that Brie did, the two that knocked Liv Morgan out and everything. And hopefully Brie Bella can get things together, which it looked like in this match pretty good. There was no big botches coming out where she nearly killed someone or killed herself or hurt someone in there and something like that. So yeah, because I think Brie Bella, a lot of people really giving her a hard time, but at the same time as well, if we look at Brie Bella in her second second run. Her and Nikki both, I thought, have actually improved tremendously. You know, I'm not saying that I find their work to be better than, like, say, the Four Horsewomen. Someone like Natalia's skill, but they definitely have improved a lot, and you got to respect the effort. I feel like that. But with that being said, after an excessive amount of Brie and Nikki tagging each other, Ronda eventually gets the tag in there, and once Ruby Riott is taken out in the outside of the ring, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan try to double team Ronda Rousey, but Ronda Rousey grabs them both and puts them in a double arm bar and makes them tap. And this is one of the parts that made me get out of my seat and legitimately mark out, because I'm like, that was awesome. I actually thought, yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't think I ever remember seeing a double arm bar, so it was a cool finish that I thought will be remembered. There's definitely going to be some cool visuals, something they should probably add to her Titantron, so I thought that was pretty good. Like I said, the match wasn't anything too spectacular, but I thought it was a fun match, so my hat goes off to all 6 women. They put on what I thought was a pretty fun match, but I will admit, as I probably already said it before, it looks like they are indeed planting the seeds for Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella for the Raw Women's Championship at the WWE Evolution pay-per-view. Once again, definitely not on my list of dream matches, and honestly, I know this might sound ridiculous. I would rather much see actually the Bella Twins versus Team Bestie, but obviously Lita and Trish both are going to have other matches at Evolution. But yeah, I'm not really feeling a Nikki versus Ronda match. It really was something that I never really cared to see. I'd rather see them face someone else, but it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, once again, fun match, and moving on to the next match. The WWE Cruiserweight Championship match, as the champion Cedric Alexander defended the title against the Australian homeboy, Buddy Murphy. Now, I mentioned earlier in this review that I was expecting the Iconics to get a huge welcome, but it was kind of like I said, it was like a golf clap. This, however, was a huge ovation. Buddy Murphy was definitely very much treated like he was the hometown favorite. I mean, the pop he got was louder than mostly almost anybody on the card outside of probably the main eventers. But man, they treated this championship match was treated like such a big deal. You would have thought this was the main event. And I put this on Twitter, with no pre-show. It was really good. As much as it sucks to see the WWE Championship match not being featured in the main event, or at least even higher on the card, here you have the Cruiserweight title being put way up top onto the card compared to the WWE Championship match. So at least it's a nice thing for the Cruiserweights to get featured and highlighted like this on the actual main card and not the pre-show. So that was really cool. This match started off hot with Buddy Murphy doing a dive over the top rope and nearly looked like he almost broke his leg on the landing because he kind of overshot it. But yeah, it started off hot, and I mean, Buddy Murphy was just coming so hard in on Cedric Alexander and everything, and it almost seemed like, oh, they're gonna do a quick squash match. They didn't, but they really kind of suckered the fans into that. But we will get to a squash match later on. No, I can't even call it a squash match. Well, we'll get to a quick match later on. But with that said in mind, yeah, this match had exactly what you would expect in a Cruiserweight title match. Flips and kicks, the opposite of a revival match, right? no flips, no kicks, no flips, just punch and kicks, right? Was that what they say? But yeah, man, they were flying all over the place, countering all types of cool maneuvers. I had so much action. I'm just going off my initial thoughts here, but the match was really good. Definitely, probably one of the best matches on the show. Like between this and the AJ Styles and Samoa Joe match, definitely those two are my top favorite ones. This one was just a sheer spectacle, and everything. And I know there might be people out there that feel like the match, is just one big giant spot fest and everything. And hey, you're not wrong for feeling that way. That is what it is. But that's kind of what the cruiserweights are meant to be. They're supposed to be spot fest. You know, you watch a match like, say, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Undertaker or Triple H to get that story element. Here, you know, when it comes to cruiserweight titles, I feel that most fans just want to see these guys flip around and do cool stuff, and that's what this was. So I thought it was pretty good for what it was. No, it was way good, definitely. It was a fun match, and the crowd atmosphere really helped a lot. In the end, though, you know, they had great near falls, you know, after the lumbar check and the standing Spanish fly failed Cedric Alexander, who they mentioned had been undefeated all year long. Buddy Murphy, he ends up landing the pump handle driver and gets the win and gets a huge, massive pop for winning the championship. And they also stated that Buddy Murphy is the first Australian-born WWE superstar in history to win a championship. So you know, hopefully it'd be nice if this means bigger things for the cruiserweights, like actually getting on the main card championship matches. This was tremendous. Definitely watch this match out. Watch out for this match and everything. Like I said, if you're gonna go into this expecting great storytelling, you might not enjoy this match. But if you just want to see two dudes go at it and high, fast-paced action, this is definitely the match for you. Definitely one of the best matches on this show. All right, moving on to the next match, The Shield, Dean Ambrose, Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins, and WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns taking on the Pack, but not Wolf Pack. The Dogs of War, whatever their name is, Braun Strowman, and the WWE Raw Tag Team Champions Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. You guys know, as I mentioned in my Hell in a Cell review, wasn't a fan of how they turned Strowman, or the reason they turned Strowman into a heel and everything. I thought it was, if they wanted to go this route, it would have been a better opportunity to take what's his name, Bray Wyatt, and maybe trade Luke Harper over Monday Night Raw and sort of do a new Wyatt family if they wanted to build off of recent nostalgia. However, this match was pretty good. Definitely, actually, another one of the strongest matches I thought on the show. You know, when you got the Shield in these 6-man tag team matches, you're always almost guaranteed a great show, and that's what you got here. It was a lot of great action back and forth, and really good storytelling. They kept trying to focus on Dean Ambrose possibly turning heel, but you know, when WWE makes things too obvious, you can really bet it's not going to happen. So I never really brought into Drew McIntyre, I mean, not Drew McIntyre, Dean Ambrose turning heel and everything, but I did go like, oh, I wasn't expecting that when Roman Reigns goes for the Superman punch and he hits Dean Ambrose and everything. So they definitely tried. They tried to you know, try and make people believe that it's gonna happen. There's even a part where, and the Shield did a good job early on, you know, surrounding the arena. They had a really cool entrance in this long in the long stadiums coming from like different parts of the stadium. So it kind of was like their WrestleMania entrance. I remember, was that back in like 29, I think it was, yeah, WrestleMania 29. So yeah, there's a part where all three, the Pack or whatever, they have Seth and Roman surrounded, and Dean gets up and he surrounds them. So it's like, is he gonna attack him? Of course, I knew he wasn't. He goes into the ring and basically runs and does a suicide dive on Strowman. Yeah, you had a lot of great back and forth action, great brawling. You know, Seth Rollins is always tearing it up. Ziggler, I mean, like I said, a lot of good stuff in the match, and I really love the ending to this match. So Strowman's going crazy outside, just running roughshod over Roman, Seth, and then he runs towards Dean Ambrose, you know, to basically go ahead and do that. And by the way, Seth Rollins, Roman took some great bumps selling for Strowman, by the way. So he goes to try and you know, throw himself into Dean. And you know, try to finish him off, but out of nowhere Roman Reigns comes out and basically sacrifices himself sorta for Dean Ambrose by doing a spear that takes him and Strowman through the barricade, allowing Dean Ambrose to get in and hit the dirty deeds on Dolph Ziggler, who the commentary was trying to make out to be possibly the weakest link, because that's kind of what the storyline has been, is that Dolph Ziggler is the weakest link on the team, and they the Shield gets the victory. It was great. All three did the Shield pose. Like I said, good stuff. Match went longer than I think it needed it to, and we'll get to that in a moment with our next match coming up. But yeah, definitely, this is one of the fun matches on the show, and hopefully this whole deal is done. We'll see where they go with this. I guess I could see Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins maybe getting the tag titles, and they'll do the whole thing where the Shield has all the titles now, and they'll split this pack up. And obviously Roman and Strowman will continue their feud at least for one more month going into the Crown Jewel, the next Saudi Arabia show, because they will be going against Brock Lesnar in a triple threat match for that Universal title. But definitely one of the good matches I say definitely check out on this show. Now we move on to what I can't even call the next match. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, with the winner receiving a future WWE Championship title shot, or as they like to say now, opportunity. Has anyone ever heard that rant that was rumored to happen about, and I think Mick Foley, actually Mick Foley confirmed it. It happened where Braun Strowman said title shot, and Vince McMahon chewed him out backstage saying it's an opportunity. Okay, well, regardless of which, this match obviously had probably the biggest build-up going in it. You're talking about 8 years of build-up. This is designed to be the final blow-off match, so you're expecting, okay, it's going to be pretty length. You know, if the time this was happening, I think there was about a whole hour left in the show, so I'm like, okay, they're going to give 30 minutes to Bryan and Miz, and then they'll probably do the last 30 minutes and dedicate that towards Taker and Triple H. So, all right, all said and ready, right? So yeah, you know, it's been a great build-up so far for these two. And right from the get-go, Miz is assaulting Daniel Bryan like crazy. He's all over him. He's over the injured ribs that was injured in the match against Shelton Benjamin, which, you know, I'm pretty sure like many of you out there watching, you thought, okay, this is just a plot device to get more heat on the Miz and have that match be where, Miz, he's going to work over the ribs all through the match, and Daniel Bryan's going to go ahead and, do the big heroic babyface comeback. You know, we thought that's what they put this in here. So yeah, there's even right here in the beginning, he's assaulting Daniel Bryan, and he goes for the flying knee that Daniel Bryan does as his finisher, and gets a close one near 2 count, and really good start, really hot start to this match. So then he picks Daniel up, goes for the skull crushing finale. Daniel goes ahead and rolls him up for a small package, 1, 2, 3, and you're like, oh, what happened? Was that a botch? The crowd is quiet. Like, was that a botch? What happened here? And then Daniel music starts playing, and JoJo announces that the winner of the match, Daniel Bryan. What? I'm like, huh? I'm like, what? What did we just see? And that's when it dawned on us that, yes, Daniel Bryan did indeed just roll up Miz out of nowhere, and there you go. Wow. This is the finish. This is how they conclude an 8-year feud with so much build-up and so much tension in this match. Really? Like Miz would say, really? Really? Hey, at least Daniel Bryan won, right? So, fans would have been livid had they done Daniel Bryan lost this quick. But wow, man. Could you guys imagine Steve Austin and The Rock's WrestleMania 19 match being this short after all that build-up? Could you imagine The Undertaker and Triple H's end of an era match having been? It's like, just think of all the great blow-off matches that have been in top-tier feuds, and that's if this is how they ended. I've already spent more time on this than the match was itself, probably. The match only went like 2 minutes or something. And so now it's confirmed that Daniel Bryan will indeed be facing AJ Styles and Saudi Arabia at the Crown Jewel for the WWE Championship match. I think this should be an excellent match, but I don't think Daniel Bryan is going to win that title, or at least not yet. I don't expect AJ Styles to lose that title until after Royal Rumble 2020. 2019, which I hate when they do that. Like when they actually build up superstars to have this long title reign. I mean, you know, they're just doing it just to probably most likely spite the previous holder of whatever said record, and then immediately after they lose, like, make it realistic a little bit. Have them do an even longer title reign just so it doesn't come off like they were just trying to do, which is actually ironically what they did do with Brock Lesnar. They actually did have him hold the Universal title much longer than what CM Punk held the WWE title for. So yeah, but I think that was more so out of his contract, right? Because that's how they booked it. So I can only hope that this is not the end of this feud, and eventually either Miz or Daniel will get the championship and they will meet again. But if this is the end, let's go back to what Daniel Bryan was saying. Daniel Bryan said in an interview, do you really trust WWE Creative to stretch this all the way out to WrestleMania? Look how they did it in the short term. This is how they ended. So, yeah, you know, and it's unfair to the talents of Miz and Bryan, all the work they've put into this 8-year-long feud. If you had to cut a match short, because it was originally supposed to be 5 hours, but the show got cut down to 4 hours, if something had to get cut, why this when it had so much build-up? You know, why? But like I said, WWE's got their guaranteed money. Shoot, they're going to Saudi Arabia in November, right? Early November. So they got their guaranteed money. They've got the type of match that a lot of hardcore fans are going to see. So in the end, WWE probably feels like it doesn't matter. But for a lot of us hardcore fans, when we see a feud like this that actually had a great build up and had some longevity to it, you know, had some longevity to it, we want to see a fitting end to it. So, yeah, it is what it is. And wow, yes, indeed, spent more time on this than the match itself. Now, on to the main event. The end of an era to end the era that we thought last time was the end of the era, as this is the last time ever, though we said it was the end of an era, which must not mean a lot. If it sounds confusing to you, then that's pretty much what it is. Billed as the last time ever, one-on-one, according to Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, with his brother Kane in his corner, versus The Game, Triple H, with his best friend Shawn Michaels in his corner. So this is what everything had been built around. The Undertaker versus Triple H. You know, I'll be honest with you guys. Like the song from Metallica that they used for the end of an era match, I felt they should have let the memories remain, because I thought that was the perfect ending to the match. The way Triple H and Undertaker's match ended, it was a great end to their feud, and that visual of him, of Taker, Triple H, and Shawn walking up at WrestleMania 28, looking at the fans, acknowledging the end of an era, it was the perfect way to end that. Then they did this, and I'm honestly was like, is this really necessary to do this match? Because as I've mentioned a lot, WWE has their guaranteed money coming. So to do this match again after it already had a satisfying conclusion to the feud, what is the purpose of it, right? But I guess, you know, they want to make sure they're selling out in Australia, right? They want to make sure they can sell out a stadium, so they have to rely on these older talents. And don't get me wrong, I want to make a knowledge here. I want to acknowledge once again, I grew up watching wrestling. I watched in 1994, but 1998 after WrestleMania 14 is when I got really hooked. So I've grown up watching The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, who actually were two of the first wrestlers I saw, and they were my favorites as a little kid. I didn't know much about professional wrestling at the time, but those two really stood out to me. And then, of course, I saw them through the Attitude Era and Triple H and Kane, you know. So I've grown up watching all four of these guys, and I have the absolute most respect for what these four men have contributed to the business of professional wrestling and sports entertainment and overall WWE. So I just want to get that out there so that people understand that I'm not at all bashing what these four great legends have done for the industry. So let's get into this match, right? You had the cool entrances, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kane, and Undertaker. I think this match went pretty long, like 27 minutes, was it? It's interesting. These four have had feuds going back to, I remember that Royal Rumble 1998 go-home edition of Raw where Kane came out and saved him and they were fighting DX, and here we are, 20 years later. It'd be interesting to see if somebody stopped watching wrestling right then and they tuned into this show to see what's going on. They see, oh, wow, these guys are still going at it. So the thing about this match that pretty much kind of killed it for me was Shawn Michaels' obsessive interference. There was a lot of shenanigans, a lot of smoke and mirrors to cover up, I would say, the limitations, particularly, I would say, with The Undertaker. It was stated that he can't, it was stated that it was rumored that the reason why the match with Cena was so short, and even the match with Rusev didn't go too long, was because Undertaker at this stage of the game was incapable of having a long match. And in this match, I think we see exactly visually why it was rumored that Taker couldn't have a long match. Shawn kept interfering in the match, and it's like Kane was there minding his own business, and you would expect Shawn Michaels to stay there and mind his own business, but no, they didn't. Shawn kept interfering. It was like very heelish, and it's like, why not leave it to these two here to just do battle? The match also was pretty slow. Like, Taker would do like a chair shot, take a breather, and slowly raise his arms up, do another chair shot, and they would fight in the crowd all over. There's one point where they go deep into the crowd and they come back. There's a point where the Undertaker did a backdrop and Triple H fell like awkwardly sideways. They did table spots where Kane was eventually put on table and Triple H Kane did a what's it called? Kane did a no. Kane was on the table. It was Triple H who did a elbow from the side of the apron. At one point, they teased Undertaker possibly doing a big leg drop or something. He was going to go on top rope, which I didn't know if Taker was going to do that at his current age on Triple H. So they didn't do that. He even teased doing the overdive, and the way Triple H and Shawn were so close to each other, I thought he was going to do that, that big over the top dive, which we haven't seen him do since WrestleMania 27, because dang near killed himself, doing that against Shawn at 25 and Triple H again at 27. And Undertaker at this stage of the game definitely doesn't need to be doing that that type of stuff, and obviously he didn't. But yeah, Kane would get involved, but the thing about it is Kane was only getting involved because in the storyline, Shawn Michaels is constantly getting involved. But Triple H took some nasty chair shots to the back, and then Taker got whammed with them with the chair shots, and Shawn Michaels is just getting on the apron, and it gets to the point in this match where the Undertaker has Triple H beat several times, but Shawn Michaels once again kept interfering, and at one point, Taker's even talking trash like, watch this. He puts the chair around Triple H's neck and he basically tries to go ahead and stomp on it. I think Shawn got interfered again, and there's even a part where Taker, I think, did a what was it? He did a tombstone and Triple H kicked out. Triple H did a pedigree, Taker kicked out. So he had their near falls, right? And Taker even one point knocks the referee out for whatever reason, and Taker even did another spot they did in the match. Taker was choking Triple H with the cable, and Triple H quickly got it off. So there was a lot of Attitude Era nostalgia matches. All of you guys out there that grew up in the Attitude Era, this is stuff we used to see. Choking with the cables wrapped around the necks, or the ref bumps and everything, and another referee coming out. This is in the interference. Definitely had its Attitude Era shenanigans. And it's one of the things I did like about this match is that while performance-wise, it was definitely not up to par with Triple H and Taker's previous matches because, obviously these guys are a lot older now, and they have to work around limitations. the one thing that these guys have never lost, I appreciated the storytelling. I really did. They were, despite their limitations, they were really working their butts off here and really telling a story. Like Undertaker with that chair spot, Triple H eventually gets Undertaker's neck into the chair and stomps on it, and Undertaker sells that for the rest of the match, constantly well, not coughing up blood, but constantly coughing, and I appreciate that. And I think that, Undertaker realizes physically there's not much he can do, but he can still help tell a story to try and get the fans invested. And you even got a lot of "this is awesome" chants. So I will say the fans in Melbourne, Australia were very respectful. I think this was like one of the few matches that got it. Yeah, the "this is awesome" chants. I think Samoa Joe and AJ in the Cruiserweight title match got it, and the 6-man tag match got it as well. But yeah, so Triple H and Taker, they're eventually kicking out of each other's finishers once again. Shawn even comes in with a sweet chin music, and eventually I think he distracts the Undertaker, who went for a tombstone on Triple H and didn't work, and eventually Triple H is able to get the pedigree after even more interference from Shawn Michaels, and Shawn even takes some bumps around. Shawn's bumped around like crazy in this match, and Triple H, after all the interference, is finally able to put the Undertaker down with the pedigree and get his first victory over Taker since the Insurrection 2002 pay-per-view, which is really cool that Michael Cole did acknowledge that. So yeah, there was a lot of parts to this match. That's basically what I could remember from it. And the way the commentators try to play this off is like it took everything that they had, including Shawn and Triple H both, to beat The Undertaker, and now Triple H can walk into the office and be happy that he finally got a big victory over The Undertaker after 16 years. And I'm looking at this like, Shawn constantly had to interfere. What does this do for Triple H in the storyline? It just proved that all these years that Undertaker, for the most part, got clean victories over Triple H, Triple H had to resort to Shawn Michaels constantly interfering and had to use these shenanigans to beat him. And at the end, I thought this was going the ending of the Sting match at WrestleMania 31. For those of you who don't remember, at the end of the Sting match, even though DX basically cheated, Triple H had to resort to shenanigans of his buddies interfering, and NWO came out to help Sting, and that right there is like, what? Triple H ends up using a sledgehammer too at the end, and when the referee's not looking, and he shakes hands with Sting, and they both give each other respect, and it's like, what? I always thought it would have worked so much better if Sting won the match, and Triple H go like, hey, I got my boys in there, we tried every cheap tactic under the book to beat you, and you still got the best of me. I got to give you respect. You were a lot tougher than I thought. That would have made much more sense, and this is what they did here. So they're shaking each other's hands, and I'll admit, hey, I stood up and clapped too, because like I said, at the end of the day, when you throw away the shenanigans, what The Undertaker, Triple H, Kane, and Shawn Michaels have all accomplished for this business is truly great. They are four of the reasons, definitely indeed, why WWE was made into the success that it is. They were right there during Austin and Rock and helping these guys and contributing the business, a lot to the business. But at the end, Undertaker, when they're trying to recreate the curtain call, Undertaker ends up, Taker and Kane both end up giving double choke slams to Shawn Michaels and Triple H. I don't remember if they got tombstones in or anything like that, but eventually Taker does take a choke slam and choke slams Shawn Michaels on the announce table. Also, I wanted to mention Shawn Michaels. A lot of people are because he's bald now, so a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, yeah, it definitely will be an adjustment trying to get used to Shawn Michaels wrestling with without hair. But what's interesting is all the abuse Shawn kept taking, that hat stayed on for the longest time. Eventually it did fall off, and like, wow, I thought that was actually pretty impressive. So yeah, both Triple H and Shawn are laid out, and I think storyline wise, I was actually sitting here like, yes, this makes total sense, because let me get this right. I have my brother watching my back, you got your best friend watching your back. From the get-go, your best friend gets if I'm the Undertaker, your best friend gets onto the ring apron and is interfering all through the match, and we can't fight this out. Like, man, you got to keep getting your boy interfered, and this is ultimately the reason why you won, because how many times did I say Undertaker had the match won and Shawn Michaels interfered? So why would Taker and Kane shake their hands? Shawn Michaels and Triple H both started cheap tactics from the start. Look at it, Kane never started. He only interfered because Shawn Michaels interfered. This would have been so much better had it been like like the end of an era match where Shawn Michaels was very much impartial. He let Triple H and Taker do their thing, and the only time Shawn got interfered in the match was when I think Taker accidentally knocked him out, and he thought Taker had hit him for real, so he came back in self-defense. Here, Shawn was just doing dirty tactics and cheap tactics all through the match. So I'm glad it makes sense storyline. Why would you accept someone's help? Like you get your boys to jump me and then try to help me up and hang and give me a handshake and say, hey, it was a good fight. You know, Shawn even said, you know, hey, haven't we all been through enough already? And no, I'm not gonna shake your hand. You couldn't fight me fair. You only won because of your interference. So yeah, that's my thoughts. It was a great effort from them, but like I said, looking back on this, this was nowhere near the end of an era match. But now this is our last image of the Undertaker versus versus Triple H, and with the rumored that the crown jewel, it's going to be the Brothers of Destruction versus D-Generation X, which is something that I don't think we never got that match. So that is pretty cool. That was something I would have loved to see back in the Ruthless Aggression era when they both were the tag teams. I don't think it's going to be too much different than what we got here. I mean, Shawn Michaels has always been tremendous, but coming out of the retirement after 8 years, I mean, who knows what condition he might be in. We gotta see, you know. And I actually rather not see Shawn Michaels come back. You know, so many times, so many of our all-time favorite wrestlers, they end up, you know, we have to see them forced out of the business due to injury. But Shawn Michaels got to leave on his own terms, especially when from 1998 to 2002, it looked like that wasn't going to be the case. He was forced out due to injury. But in 2010, Shawn Michaels got to go in a match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 26. Now, me and the man 0001 are both in the minority in this. We actually thought the WrestleMania 26 match was a little bit better than the WrestleMania 25 match. A lot of people seem to agree they both were great matches, but 25 was better. But regardless of which, a lot of people will agree that Shawn Michaels went out on a great match with The Undertaker, and at the end, and he acknowledged he has lived up to the retirement stipulation for 8 years. So it's like if Shawn Michaels comes back and, you know, he's not going to be able to do a performance that's even bigger than that, it's like, you know, just leave the memories remain. So yeah, overall, I do say go and check the match out. If you grew up a fan of The Undertaker and Triple H and you want to see it one more time, you know, one more time. Yeah, how do we know one more time? Can you really take WWE serious when they say these things, these terms? But yeah, you know, check it out. Like I said, it was great storytelling, working around the limitations, but overall, I didn't need this match. I really would have been very satisfied with the way they concluded things in the end of an era match at WrestleMania 28. I thought it was the perfect conclusion to their rivalry, and but now it continues. So yeah, we'll have to see what goes on for Crown Jewel Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, coming back. But I just rather the memories remain what they were, you know. That's one of the things that I always respected about Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, that's a guy who, my all-time favorite, I wouldn't mind him coming back just to go, because, you know, Austin didn't, once again, he couldn't leave on his own terms, but he said many times, you know, he knows that the fans would be okay if Austin gave like the bare minimum. He just did all his signature moves. People would go crazy for that, but Austin said he wouldn't be able to look, he couldn't deal with, he had to look back and realize that match didn't live up to his expectations for what he wanted to put on, the performance he would love to put on for the fans. And he looks at, hey, WrestleMania 19, he went out against The Rock, so he looks at that, you know what, our last in-ring image of Stone Cold Steve Austin had a really big lasting impact, just like I feel like the last moment of Shawn Michaels' in-ring roar, it's something definitely to have a lasting impact. But if Shawn Michaels is indeed coming back, and heavy rumors of The Rock coming back too for a few matches, I would love to see Shawn Michaels versus The Rock. I think it'd be great to look back on history and see that we did get that match. But yeah, overall, like I said, I appreciate the effort of the main event. I just thought the end of the era match was much better and was definitely the best way to end the feud. So there it is. So that is my review of WWE Super Showdown. I think I gave you guys either close to or more than an hour of audio content for you to listen to. I hope you enjoy this as you went about your everyday life. So once again, I will be back with a review for WWE Evolution Evolution, which is definitely a pay-per-view I'm looking forward to seeing. My all-time favorite Lita coming back, my other all-time favorite Molly Holly. I'm pretty sure she's going to be in the show. I don't know if she'll be featured in a one-on-one match, maybe like a battle royal or something. But yeah, those two women are my all-time favorite matches. I'm glad we're getting Alexa Bliss versus, well, no, actually, I'd rather have seen Sasha Banks versus Trish Stratus if this is like a one-off thing. But if Trish is coming back for more matches, then by all means, yeah, Alexa Bliss versus Trish. But at least we are getting one of that new and old generation matches. I'd rather not see Mickey versus Lita. I'd rather see Lita and Mickey just take on newer opponents, or at least Lita, because Mickey's been back on the main roster. But yeah, definitely looking forward to Evolution. And with that said in mind, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. And now I will end with my plugs. So, if you obviously are a fan of WWE or professional wrestling, we'll be doing more audio reviews like this for big events that you can listen to as you go about your everyday life. Also, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, shonen manga, or anime adapted from shonen manga, make sure to check out my upcoming short film, Battle of Deception, as it's based on those types of genres. I currently have lots of videos such as the teaser trailer and the behind-the-scene interview videos right here on my channel, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as I release more content regarding Battle of Deception, Dragon Ball, and even WWE. And make sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at SONGOSHUAKU. All links will be in the description below. Take care!